Hello and welcome to Voice of Australia. Well, the nation voted yesterday and chose its 28th Prime Minister in Tony Abbott. But before we look at that, let's look at Kevin Rudd, who lost the office of Prime Minister, and this is his concession speech.
I have been honoured to serve as your Prime Minister and as your party's leader. But there comes a time when you know you've given it your all, and a time for the party to further renew its leadership for the future. For me, that time is now. So I will not be recontesting the leadership of the Parliamentary Labor Party. The Australian people, I believe, deserve a fresh start with our leadership. I know this will not be welcome news to some of you, but my responsibility has been to maintain Labor as a fighting force for the future so that we can unite behind the next leader of our party.
The coalition won convincingly, and here's a piece of Tony Abbott's victory speech.
I am both proud and humbled as I shoulder the duties of government. The time for campaigning has passed. The time for governing has arrived. I pledge myself to the service of our country.
Well, I'm here with National Opinion Editor Tory Maguire and data reporter Gothe-Snape. Thanks for joining us on Voice of Australia. It was a big night, big swings towards the coalition, some scalps across the eastern seaboard, and some time for rethinking Labor in opposition. What were the big moments?
Look, I think the exciting thing for the Labor Party is, despite the fact that they did get hammered, it wasn't by as much as the polls were suggesting. When we woke up yesterday morning to news polls saying that, you know, they were going to be absolutely obliterated, Kevin Rudd was able to walk onto the stage last night and tell a relatively good story.
He seemed so happy, didn't he?
You know, they held on in Queensland. He said they didn't lose a single cabinet minister, which, considering what they were facing and what we all thought was going to happen to them, wasn't the worst news in the world.
I mean, we had issues. Western Sydney looked problematic. I mean, Lindsay did go to the Libs, but Parramatta was a swing back to the Labor Party. Certainly not as bad as we thought. There were some losses though, Jackson, and some wins for the coalition. Take us through those.
We've been looking at a couple of seats in Western Sydney for the last few months. Tony Burke's seat and Chris Bowen's seats. They were always, around the 10% margin mark, and we considered safe, barring a major swing against them. We saw them both hold on quite comfortably, and it probably goes back to the question of, was the original decision to install Kevin Rudd back into the Prime Ministership the right one? Could Julia Gillard have protected those seats against the coalition? It's hard to say either way, but looking forward, Labor has two promising politicians there in Chris Bowen and Tony Burke to build around in the future.
So we can spend the next 3 years speculating on leadership tensions between the two of them.
I was going to start right now.